Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Lisa Huber, and you're listening to the Divine I Am Broadcast Network, where we bring spiritual and metaphysical awareness from the heart to the public. And it's my pleasure today to introduce my friend, Ginny Jablonski. Ginny is an intuitive healer, animal communicator, horse medicine facilitator and spiritual speaker, opioid crisis awareness advocate, and co author of Animal Prints on My Soul. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm thrilled to be on the network today.
Thank you for being with us. And I know we were just going over the way things are set up, but we're just we'll wing it. We're gonna have fun. And I absolutely love, where was that picture taken in the background?
I think this is West Central Colorado.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. And I wanted to say, guys, please feel free if you have any questions on how to communicate with your animals, please pop them in the comments or come up on stage in Clubhouse. We were just discussing whatever you guys, would like to know. The only thing we're not going to be doing is we won't be doing animal readings because I know Jenny has told me she likes to give at least an hour time to animals when she connects with them. So, yeah. I didn't know, did you want to start off with how this began for you, Jenny?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, honey.
Well, I had a near-death experience.
Mm.
And when I came back from the near-death experience, I was aware of our multidimensional reality. And I was aware of the fact that we humans and animals are much more than we have ever been told, much more than we realize. And that we have a lot more complexities going on within our mind than most of us have ever been taught. And so do animals. And frankly, so do plants. And so that was pretty overwhelming for me. And it launched me on a journey of healing, of self awareness, of spiritual education. And eventually that led me to share my journey and my intuitive skills with people. And when I was working with people, their animals started coming into the sessions. And so a few months after that started happening, Lisa, I meditated and I asked my guides, what is going on? These animals are really bothering me. I'm trying to help people, and this is serious stuff here. Why am I being bothered? And a giant horse appeared in my room, a giant horse. Her head took up the whole wall and ceiling in my room.
Oh, my goodness.
And she said, don't you remember? We brought you back from your near-death experience, and we guided you on your journey of overcoming trauma and abuse. And we guided you on things that you needed to learn about the psycho-spiritual apparatus of the human and what is really going on in our nervous system and our consciousness. And now that you have learned that, I don't want to say mastered, but now that you have learned enough to begin sharing your journey with others, it's time for you to take everything you learned about human trauma and human consciousness and apply that to animals, because there just aren't enough animal communicators out there talking about this very esoteric subject. So that's how it started. And Lisa, I said, well, nobody knows I'm an animal communicator. How is that going to happen? Where do I market myself? How? And she said, it was a mayor that was talking to me. She said, don't worry, we're going to take care of that.
I love it.
So some months later, maybe a year-ish, I don't remember. I didn't keep a journal. I was told in the middle of the night, I was woken up and I was told, go to San Diego. This was in 2017. And I woke up, I'm not going to San Diego. I don't know anybody in San Diego. I'm not going to San Diego. That's ridiculous. And I went back to sleep. Around 3 a.m., I was woken up again. Go to San Diego. And I woke up and was frustrated. And I said, I don't know anybody in San Diego. There's no reason to go to San Diego. I'm not going there. About 5:30, go to San Diego, really loud. And I'm like, razzle frat, I am never going to get back to sleep. So I got up and I turned on my water to have a cup of tea, and I got my phone and I started on Facebook. And there was a fire that had displaced 1,000 horses in San Diego.
Oh
And I
my
went,
goodness.
oh, I'm going to San Diego.
Yeah.
So I packed my bag, and by 7:30, I was on my way to San Diego with nowhere to stay, knowing nobody there, anything. And within a couple of weeks, I worked with many horses that were distressed and displaced and traumatized. And after a couple of weeks, I had hundreds of animal communication clients because people shared about me on Instagram and Facebook and all of these private, hobbyist type groups that I didn't even know existed. I was barely on Facebook at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it happened.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I knew a little bit about your backstory, but I did not know about that. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And Karen, I Aaron just said, I love this. The animals need us to be their voice. Yes, because I've seen some of the comments. I know that you had visited a wild horse that was on a farm that didn't seem very happy, and I'll let you explain that. That was a beautiful, beautiful journey that horse took you on. Oh my goodness.
Well, sure. When you mentioned it at the beginning of the call before we went live, and
Mm-hmm.
you asked if it would be okay to share the story, I had to ask the horse for
Yes,
permission. So the horse
yes.
says yes.
Oh, wonderful.
So it was actually on this property. Maybe that's why I chose this picture. So this property had maybe 20-ish formerly wild horses. And I go there once a year to visit. And the first time I went there, I spent 4 days and I talked to almost every horse on the property. And then the second time I went, I think I was only there for an afternoon or something like that due to scheduling conflicts. And I had spoken with one or two, maybe 3 horses that were really in need. And I was about to leave, and a black mare kind of walked by. And the man that owns the facility said, is there anything you can do for her? And I checked in and I got no. So I said no. So the way I work much differently, and we're going to suss this out over this hour, I hope. I work a lot differently than most animal communicators, and we'll talk about that on the way as we go on this journey for the next 45 minutes or so. And he said, well, are you sure? Are you sure there is? I really would like you to. And I said, well, I'm not getting anything. And he said, well, can you ask? So I said, okay, sure, I'll ask. And so her name was Clarissa. And I said, how are you doing? And she said, well, I'm very angry. And I said, well, would you like some help with that? And she said, no, not at all. I'm fine being angry. I'm perfectly happy with my anger. It's the only control I have over my life. Mm-hmm. And so I told the man, she's angry and it's hers and she owns it and it's the only control she has over her life. And so he was a little bit sad, and he said, is there anything you can do? So the only thing I know how to do in this situation is share my love. So I asked her, would you mind if I just stand next to you for a while? And there is a photograph on my website of me standing with her meditating.
I saw it was beautiful.
It's with the blog, and it's on my website, and it's maybe a year or 2 ago I posted it, and it's called Traveling with a Horse. The blog is called Traveling with a Horse, and it's a picture of me standing next to a black mare. So I said, Clarissa, would you mind if I just hang out with you for a minute and I just share my love? And she goes, yeah, no, that'll be fine. I don't mind. So I closed my eyes and I breathed in through my nose and out through my mouth. And I brought earth energy up through my feet. And I opened my heart. And I just stood next to her in a place of love. And I thought, well, this will probably be it for today. And all of a sudden, we started astral traveling. And I was flying through the air with her. And I'm like, oh, just a minute. So I opened my eyes and I told the man, I might be standing here for a while and I'm going to be very quiet, but I'll let you know what happens when we're done. So he said, okay. And I closed my eyes again. And we were flying over mountains. It was as if we went past Utah over to California. I'm very familiar with California because I used to live there for many years. And I thought we were over the Sierra Nevadas. And so I looked at her and I said, where are we? And she said, Carson City, Nevada. And so we were coming sort of in at the foothills of Carson City, Nevada. The Sierra Nevadas near, close to Lake Tahoe. And we turned east and we landed in a field and her herd came up and approached us. It was so wonderful. And I don't remember the specifics and I don't have a great memory for this type of thing because I talk with so many animals and have so many experiences, but it was something to the effect of the spiritual leader of her herd, which was the Maverick Medicine herd in north central Nevada, came to me. And I think he asked me a question. I apologize, Lisa, for not having all the particulars, but I think he then took me traveling like through the stars. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
they had something to say about wild horses and roundups, and it was quite unfortunate. And then I just popped back in my body and I opened my eyes and I said, wow, you just will not believe what just happened. It was so incredible. And I apologize for not being able to tell the story very well, but I didn't know I was.
No, that was just absolutely beautiful. I just had to tell you, when I read that, like you said, it was on your blog, and I saw the photo of you standing quietly next to her, and you weren't touching her, and just gave her space and connected. And I felt that. I felt, by reading it, I was on that journey with you. So I appreciate that you shared that. And I'm just very honored to have you on the show, because we do have a lot of beautiful people that show up here every day, and they'd love to learn how to connect with their animals when we do animal readings as well. But do you have any suggestions or where they could start? I know I know it's a lot to cover, but just, I guess, the basics.
Well, I look at things a little bit differently from most people, even in the metaphysical community.
Mm-hmm.
My focus is for each of us, human and animal alike, or human, animal, and four-legged animal alike, or fish, fowl, you name it, reptile.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that we are here to remember the truth of who we are as infinite beings of light.
Yeah.
And to remember that we are a soul having a physical experience, and that we have soul agreements and life plans, and that our trauma in this life and other lives and our challenges prevent us from remembering that, prevent us from fully aligning with that truth, from being able to express our consciousness at a level that really honors that for ourselves and others. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to people about working with animal communication and developing our spiritual gifts, I talk in terms of our soul being the one that activates our gifts. And it has to do with our frequency and our level of consciousness and our self-awareness and how healed we are in our lower chakras. I always knew that was true, but it was really validated by a very wonderful, very ethical, very self-aware metaphysical teacher named Michael Tamura. And he really speaks in detail about how our chakras control our psychospiritual apparatus from the throat up, right? And our transmediumship space in the back, our speaking, our hearing, our sight, and our claircognizance, our knowing at the crown chakra. And he shares that it is actually the second chakra, masculine, feminine, interpersonal relationships, the health and the wholeness and the clarity of that chakra is what manages whether or not our psychic gifts get activated and to what degree. And our solar plexus, doubt, unworthiness, fear, frustration, our sense of self, our relationship with ourself, and our perspective of our purpose in the world and our place in the world as it relates to everything else but us individually, that chakra manages the distribution of energy in our entire luminous architecture, our physical body and all of our subtle bodies. So if we have a lot of unresolved trauma, belief systems, stuff we've inherited, it's more likely that we may not, not will not, but may not fully open our psychic gifts because our soul will think we're not quite ready because we haven't healed our trauma. And the truth is, we're not taught about this. So why would we? Everybody else is stressed out and anxiety ridden and angry and PTSD and a survivor of abuse. Well, isn't that just how the world is? It's not how the world has to be. Right. And after my near-death experience, when I was open to all of that truth, even though I had so much trauma myself, I was given like a lifeline. I was given the phone a friend option directly to my oversoul consistently. And I was taken on a journey and shown all of the distortion and imbalance within my own chakras. Now, I didn't come back magically healed the way some people do from near-death experiences. Had that happened to me, I wouldn't be talking to you, Lisa, right now, because I wouldn't have anything to talk about. I wouldn't be self-aware. I would have just magically healed and thought, oh, God or Jesus healed me. Right? I wouldn't be able to talk about self-awareness and self-responsibility and how we can come into our own sovereignty and manage our own energy and manage our own gifts and abilities and remember the truth of who we are and develop a relationship. Remember that we have a higher self and oversoul beyond the higher self that can help us heal. And that can help us manifest our highest potential in this life. And most people would be just amazed at what our highest potential really is. And the highest potential does include being able to communicate with animals. It includes being able to communicate with plants. It includes being able to communicate with the planet. It includes being able to communicate with your grandma that passed away. It includes all of it. Right. But I'm not somebody a person who isn't enjoying this conversation would like to work with, basically. If this conversation jazzes you and makes you want to learn about this stuff and be more self-responsible, right? Then I'm your gal. But if really you don't want to change your life or do anything differently or go on a spiritual journey, you just want to be able to communicate with animals. I don't work that way. I
Mhm.
tried, and I did a few workshops on the East Coast and all around. And I found that most people didn't know how to manage their own energy. Most people didn't know how to have discernment in terms of who they were really talking to. If there were 2 or 3 dogs in a room, they would be giving the messages from the wrong dog. You know, sometimes the animals actually don't want us to talk to them because they have problems with their energy, and people aren't hearing and understanding that actually the animal isn't giving us permission to communicate with them. So working with me is like a really deep dive into a conscious awareness of ourselves and a conscious awareness of the animals as sentient beings who also get a choice, and who also, as that guide said to me, that horse guide said to me, they also are at the effect of misunderstanding, of trauma, unhealed wounds. I'm going to go back and underscore misunderstanding. There's a lot
Mm.
of that with animals, right?
Yeah, Jenny, I noticed you had said one of the places you visited, they would actually highlight the pony that only had one eye. And it got to the point when you connected to that pony that had the one eye, they asked, could you please tell them to stop telling that story? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And the barn manager got mad and said, well, that's why this horse is here, to tell all the
Hmm.
veterans that the, and I said, honestly, really, you think the veterans' lives are being impacted by the fact that the pony has one eye? Like, come
Right,
on.
right.
And you are re-traumatizing this little mini pony. He's telling you. And so I was not
Everything.
invited back to the barn.
Oh my goodness, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear
No,
the
I
truth.
mean, for people to accept that animals are sentient beings and should have free will choice,
Hmm.
we would have to accept that about ourselves as well. And if we
Hmm.
have no self-awareness, we will not accept that about
Right.
the animals.
Right. And guys, I apologize. We were talking before the show, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I put how to communicate with animals. But yeah, it bottom line comes down to your own self-awareness and your own energy and working on yourself and opening up your, as you said, gifts or as the energy arises through your chakras. And so, yeah, I'm so glad you're on here. And I wanted to just take a moment real quick. I wanted to welcome in Darshita and Lisa and Julie and Hunter and Mahogany, and I see Abundance Abundance Spa joined us, and Sam and Angelica, Teresa and Kaylin, Maureen, and Ben. I see you guys. And we also have in the feeds, welcome to Aaron and Lisa and Hulupa and Kate Williams. And did you have the time to take a question? I noticed somebody had. And if you have questions in Clubhouse, please flash your mics and I'll look down there as well. But I noticed in the feeds, we had a question from Kate, and she asked, when you connect to the animals, is it an intuitive, energetic understanding, or can you hear what they want to tell you?
Well, it depends what psychic sense you have activated,
Hmm.
right? Some people, when they, so I've taught a few people in my time, and so sometimes people only see colors. They only see colors, they get a feeling. They can sort of tell a story from the feeling they get. Some people hear paragraphs. Some people hear a few snippets of information, if just a sentence or so, and then they sort of fill in the blanks, which is not always beneficial for the caretaker, the owner of the animal, because it's not always accurate. Some people are clairvoyant, and there are actually people that teach animal communication and say animals' thoughts create pictures, and so you clairvoyantly go into their mind, which in my opinion is violating their sovereignty, but you go into their mind and you look at the pictures in their memories, and you have a picture. You have no idea what's happening, now in your humanness, you interpret what's going on in that picture. So, 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, it's wrong if all you have is a clairvoyant view of the animal's memory. So it's different. Some people have a mixture. And my experience is that animals even communicate differently. I have all of my psychic senses activated and turned on moderately. And so each animal that I talk to has a different voice, has a different personality, has a different, sometimes accent, depending on their
I love
ancestral lineage. Like I've had a French bulldog with a French accent,
it.
and I've had an English bulldog actually with an English accent.
I love it.
And, they all have different personalities. And I spoke with an FEI Grand Prix dressage horse this past week. And one of the first things he said to me is, do you think my unresolved pain and inflammation might have something to do with my ancestral lineage? I said, yeah, I think so. And you're a genius. You're a genius. So not only do we as humans have multiple different psychic senses, they can all be turned on or off, or, on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10. And having different combinations of them is also very, very helpful. But the animals all have unique psychic senses as well. Some animals can see ghosts. I had a really wealthy, well-known in the horse industry client recently, I think it was last fall. And his horse was just bolting when all the other horses in the pasture were just fine. And he would just bolt and go nuts. And I said, well, he sees dead people. And the man said, where? And I'm like, everywhere. They're everywhere. Well, so the man thought I was nuts, but the horse isn't bolting anymore because I negotiated with the horse's soul to turn off the psychic senses when it wasn't exactly necessary for him to be using that psychic sense. It was just frightening him, and his whole energy field was filled with just terror and fear.
Oh.
So
Mhm.
different teachers teach differently. They will say that you'll hear voices and you hear your own voice, and I've never heard my own voice ever unless it's me talking to me. I hear the voice of the animal. Some, and they will put limits on what animal consciousness is too. I remember being in a class with, I won't say who once, and I was speaking with a cat that was owned by that person. And the question, all these really sort of simple question, what's your favorite toy? Who's your favorite friend? Where do you sleep in the house? And it was, like, what's your favorite place to hang out in the house? And I just immediately said, on the desk by the orange scissors. Well, I was told that the cat couldn't possibly have told you that because the cat doesn't know the word scissors.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, I need to leave, because the cat could give a picture or a thought of scissors, and the cat can know the word scissors too, So it's pretty interesting. I think for those who are interested, I would read books by lots of different people, find out who you resonate with, what level of consciousness you want to interact with the animals, because the animals can tell you there's orange scissors over there. They can tell you lots of different ways. They can share the picture and you can know it. That's called claircognizance. You just know it. In other words, your field is exchanging pictures and geometry and symbols. That's the language of the universe, is geometry and symbol. So there are many different ways to communicate.
I love that. And especially sound. I know animals because I have them all the time around me with their sound, and the birds singing, and the squirrels in my wall. But I wanted to just check in with Clubhouse. I saw some people join in, and just to reset the room, my name's Lisa Huber with the Divine I Am Broadcast Network, and you're listening to the very lovely and very talented Ginny Jablonski, and she's live now. If you hit that YouTube link up above, you'll be able to see her. And also, if you're on the feeds, if you'd like to connect with Ginny, you can reach her at heartofthehorse.us. If anything resonates for you today, and that goes for replay watchers, welcome, and podcast listeners, I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm so glad you're here with us today. I just want to see if anybody has any questions in Clubhouse. If anyone has questions in Clubhouse that's up on stage, if you'd like to unmute your mic, feel free to. No pressure. And I'll give you a little bit because I know it takes a little bit to unmute the mic.
And also, Lisa, when I get after this interview, I will go on the YouTube video and I will put some links in the comments for anybody who's interested for free talks or interviews I've done that are informative and helpful with different. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I don't see anybody flashing mics on our Clubhouse, but I did want to go in and I think I saw a question. Let me just check here. Oh, that's interesting. This is just Jasper's comment. Jasper, welcome. Or Jasper, I'm sorry. Jasper says, just a side note. Today I connected with a cluster of 7 oak trees that I have been drawn to lately, and each of them had individual personalities. I love this. One masculine, another feminine, and one holding the quality of perspective. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Jasper, for sharing that. That is awesome.
And I've met a horse or two in my time, or even a dog or a cat, who tell me, I love to talk to trees. I miss the tree at my old house. I'm sad because I miss talking to the tree at my old house.
Aww. Aww. I'm just going through the feeds. Just want to make sure I'm not missing what you guys have here. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to pop this up, Hula Loopa, just so we can. Hula Loopa said, I'm worried that my negative energy or the anxiety can affect their animals.
Well, I mean, please don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
It is true that in certain circumstances, animals can be affected. I had a client last year who had a young Labradoodle, and this young Labradoodle, he was just crazy. I mean, he just acted crazy. And I said, what is going on with you? I need to help you. What is happening here? And he said, I can't stand the energy in the house. The people had the news on all the time. They were fighting, really negative perspectives. And the dog was really affected by that. And there was nothing that the woman could really do about her husband at the time. So I gave tips and tricks on how to clear the energy in the house. If you have crystals in your house, take them outside, put them in the sun, charge them in the sun for a couple of hours every once in a while. Tell them thank you for helping to keep your environment clean. Get a glass of water like this, 8 ounces of water, and put a teaspoon of salt in it every night. And every night, dump that water down the sink or take it outside and dump it and put fresh water and a teaspoon of salt. You can have a little like an earthen bowl, something like this, that you can put like a cup and a half of salt in and change it out every week. I know people tell you sprinkle salt in the corners of your room in your house. That does nothing. To be honest, it does absolutely nothing. There's barely an energy signature of salt when you do that. That comes from a misunderstanding of how salt used to be used in ceremony. And that salt was active for that, 20-minute, half an hour ceremony. And then that was it. It was done. Mm-hmm. So there are things that can be done to clear your environment, but there are tools that we can all use to clear our own energy field. And then also finding the source of your own anxiety, which is for the most part unmet or unacknowledged emotions within us that are maybe repressed. And so that's what a journey of self-awareness does, is it helps us to uncover the places where we haven't forgiven ourselves or others, limiting beliefs that we might have, fears. Fear is a huge one that contributes to anxiety. And, most of our fears can really be easily released if we witness them, if we use self-inquiry. And I've done a few workshops and interviews on those topics, and I will post them in the YouTube video in the comments.
Thank you so much. But the time is flying by. I don't want to miss anybody, so I'm scrolling through the feeds to make sure what you guys are putting in there. But I did want to pop this one out real quick. Adriana says, "Thank you, Lisa, for moderating. Ginny has been to our ranch, and she has been 100%." Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Hi there.
Because I've seen it. I've seen where you've been, all the different. So, how often are you traveling out to ranches? And I'm just curious because there's just so many different places I see on your website.
Well, I've worked with close to 500 horses in person over the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I work 90% of my work is done over the phone, but in 2018 and 2019, in those 2 years, I was only home in my own home between 1 year it was 2 weeks I was home, and I think that was 2019, and 2018, I think I was home for 2 months. So I travel all across the country, Canada, etc. So, and I've taken some trips abroad as well.
Wow. Well, I've enjoyed your blogs and your photos, and I appreciate all that you're sharing for everyone here. And Sheila, I know Sheila personally. She's an intuitive artist, and she just had a quick question. She said, "Do you work with photographs?"
I think that is not a skill that I am expressing in this life.
In this life, yeah.
Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry. I think she's asking a different question. I think she's asking if someone wants me to communicate with their animal, do I need a photograph? No, I don't ask for a photograph. 8 times out of 10, I'll tell you what your animal looks like. I don't need to know. If there are other animals in the home, or a lot of animals that have passed away around you, or your horse is at a boarding facility, then I will ask, what color is your animal? Are they big or small? So I can tell the difference between the many animals that are trying to show up and talk to me. I don't need a photograph, and to my knowledge, it's never helped me be more clear or accurate. I've always been just sort of magically, extraordinarily accurate. Although, to be fair, some of what I do is very esoteric. So there is no way to validate the truth of what I'm sharing, except that the animal's behavior changes. So we know it's true when, lives are being changed, and that happens quite a bit.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here, Sheila. And she just said, "Oh, okay." She just said, "Just interested. My daughter has horses." So I guess, yep. Okay. Good to know. Thank you for asking, Sheila. And let me go back in the clubhouse. Would anybody on stage, do you have a question? Not to pressure you guys. I see we have quite a few there. Feel free to flash your mic if you have a question. But I did want to say, yes, I feel the same way, that I do ask permission. And when I receive messages, if I'm channeling, I'll ask for permission, just because, like, for instance, I had my one kitty cat always with me all the time watching the birdies. But this just shot right into my head. And I heard them call the birdies yum yums. That's what they refer to them as, yum yums. Oh, I got a kick out of that.
Well, would you like me to give a few tips for people? I mean, if they are interested in having a better connection, a bond, just starting to see if communicating is possible?
Yes, we would love that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to tell a story first. So on my website, I don't have one of those modern websites that's just like a picture of me and it says, "Call Ginny now." I have, 20 pages of stuff on there because it's all so fascinating. And some of what I share, it's several pages of client testimonials, and they don't write short testimonials. They write really beautiful, long, incredible testimonials. And I share it because you know what? People love to read them. And, people just tell me, I come back to your website every month just to read the new testimonials.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a
honestly.
testimonial on the recent testimonial page. So I have recent and then archive.
Mm-hmm.
And under recent, if you go down past the human stuff where there starts to be photos of animals, there's a picture of this really cute little chihuahua, and her name is Violet.
Aww.
So Violet's caretaker, I think her name was Barbara, lovely woman. She had adopted, and when I work with animals, I know nothing about them, but I'm giving you all the information in hindsight now.
Mhm.
She had adopted Violet. She's had her, I guess at the time I spoke with her, which was maybe a year or two ago, she was 3-ish, 4-ish years old. And she had her for about 3 years. She adopted her from the Humane Society. They found her and her litter mates abandoned by her mother. I mean, who knows if the mother was passed away or what happened. And every time the woman tried to touch her for 3 years, the dog would growl. The dog never wanted to sit close to her or on her lap. And she was very frustrated, So she had the dog for 3 years. I taught the woman the exercise I'm going to teach you next. And that night, she did the exercise with the dog, and the dog was sitting on its bed across the room, and she was sitting on the couch, same way it was for 3 years. The woman did the exercise. The dog looks up, runs over, jumps up on the couch right next to her.
Aww.
So I call this exercise Little Pink Pillows of Love.
Oh, I love it.
And there's a recording on my website about how I work with animals. And this is pretty much the exercise that I give at the end of the recording, that I ask people to connect with their animals at the heart level. I don't talk about the pink pillows of love, but it's there in a recording on my website if you would like to listen to it. So the purpose is to get into our heart, because most of us, frankly, aren't even in our body, right? So if we can safely feel safe to come into our body, and we don't have a lot of trauma in our nervous system, then this will help you come into your body. It will help you ground, and it will help you get into your heart center. So sitting or, very comfortably, or maybe even lying down, imagining that you have earth energy coming up through your feet. We have chakras in our feet. Nobody talks about this. Everybody says, oh, you ground through the grounding cord. No, we orient ourselves on the planet we live on, and we can release, if we want, to the earth through that grounding cord. But the earth energy comes up through our feet. That's what the chakras in our feet are for. So imagine just little roots in your feet, and every time you inhale, bringing earth energy up through your feet. And as you're inhaling, the golden pure light of creation down through your head, coming down through your body, meeting that beautiful earth energy coming up through your feet, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And every time you inhale, you're breathing just a little more deeply into your lungs, into your heart space. Breathing into that heart space. And when you can feel yourself breathing into that heart space, find a way to feel grateful for something. Anything, a flower, your great Aunt Betty's chocolate cake, whatever that might be. Something that you can just really resonate with the sense, the feeling, the sensation of gratitude, and radiate that gratitude in your own body first. Just radiate that out and fill your entire field with it. And then send that gratitude to your animal. Gently, gently, gently. Now, we don't want to hit them over the head with it. We don't want to give them a big bear hug or anything like that. We just want to gently offer it as if you're reaching out to a little child who's maybe not very happy and saying, here's this little pink blanket or pink pillow of love. If you want it, it'll be right here. I'm not going to force it on you, but it's right here if you want it. And that allows the animal to maintain their own sovereignty and receive the frequency if they want. So radiate that gratitude just as if you were going to hand them a little pink pillow or blanket of love. And now visualize that you can ask your higher self, your heart, to create that frequency. Not distorted love, not martyr love, not controlling love, not I don't get enough love, pure unconditional love. And imagine that you are creating that little pink pillow of love. And it might look like a fluffy little baby blanket or cotton candy to you. And ask your higher self to help you create that. And send that little fluffy pillow cloud of love over to the animal as if you were just gently laying it on top of their energy bubble. You're not jamming it in because you know their neck hurts or their back hurts. You're not putting it on the bone. You're gently laying it on their auric field and allow them to receive that frequency. And you'll watch them yawn because that frequency of unconditional love, most of us don't feel that very often in our lives. And that's a very refined, it's almost like a solvent, like a detergent. It's a very high frequency that can break up any congestion, any distortion, any emotion in our energy field. And it can help the animals also if they choose to receive it.
Right.
Could you come to see that happening, Lisa?
I was going to say yes, and also Hula Loop just said how curious and relaxing that was. Yes.
In this state of awareness, this is how you can communicate with your own self, with your own guides. There are many breathing techniques, Wim Hof, holotropic, pranayama, the different Kriya Yoga. There are so many different breathing techniques and books on breathing by Dr. Andrew Weil. There's a woman who wrote a book, I think is just called Breathing, and she has a PhD in, I think it's physical therapy or something like that. Mm-hmm. And just amazing people. I mean, all of the martial arts, Qigong, Tai Chi, mm-hmm. All of the Eastern modalities and philosophies that are meant to address either health and wellness, physical prowess, or the third kind is a seeking immortality. But they all address breathing as a way to connect with our own heart and eventually with our own soul and our own intuitive guidance. It's a very, very helpful.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Ginny. And I did have two more comments that I wanted to share. And since Hula Lupa just said that, she said, do animals that pass on visit their owners?
Sometimes they do. Not always, but sometimes. And almost always they're available if you wanted to have a medium communicate with them. I don't offer that service professionally, intentionally, but during animal communication sessions, sometimes they just show up. Like I'll be working with a woman with a black horse, and then all of a sudden a red horse or a gray horse or a paint horse will show up, and I'll say, have you owned another color horse? And it happens with dogs and cats, but it doesn't always happen. And if it comes through, I will gladly give the message, but my purpose is to share this information, this conversation. This is what gets me excited. This is my passion. This is my purpose, is to help people be more self-aware and to realize that we, as it says on the crawl on the screen, to help us understand how our trauma affects us and how it's limiting us from being in our psycho-spiritual awareness, and how we can promote conscious relationships with animals and communicate on an interspecies level telepathically and honor each other as souls.
It's beautiful. Yes, I noticed because and for myself, I can say it happened when my father passed away. That's when I really got onto my journey because I saw things just clairvoyantly. But yeah, it's just life has gotten more peaceful. I've had crash courses along the way, but life has gotten so much more peaceful from within, from myself, on who is around me and what brings me joy, and that's what I'm focusing on. And yeah, I completely relate with what you're saying. And I wanted to just pop this up real quick. It might take up the screen, but Jesper just mentioned something. Jesper said, I pick up horses I come across on my walks if they need healing, and same with cats across the ocean. Also communicate with those cats and have them tell what their real name is. Sometimes they do not feel acknowledged by their given name. Some have the soul of bears or lions and identify with that kind of royalty. Wow.
Couple that's jam-packed. So couple things. Some horses care about their name, or some animals care about their name and some don't. And some tell me, well, my mom called me something else when I was young. Like I just bought a donkey and she came and her name was Rohini. And she told me my mom called me Jasmine when I was born. So we named her Jasmine. And then I have a donkey also named, her name is Hope. And she says, when I'm talking with friends on the phone, they'll say, why do I see peanuts all over the floor? Or one of my friends said, I heard peanut, peanut, peanut. And I said, oh yeah, that's my donkey Hope, because her mom, when she was little, I also own her mother, called her my little peanut. So she wants everybody to know that her pet name, nickname, sweet name, nickname is Peanut. So, I've also spontaneously been given the registered name of a horse, and nobody knew what the pedigree was. And the horse just says, oh, well, my name is this. And it's nothing like what, they're being called. But look, I can't do it all the time. It happens. It happens sometimes, but that's interesting. Some care, some don't. Some really get very serious about it. And sometimes the ones that are really serious about it, the people don't believe in changing their name. So they go, well, I'm not going to change their name. That's wrong. You just should never change an animal's name. So, anything the animals tell us it's really subject to the whim of the human and where they are on their journey and whether or not they choose to honor the animal. Now, a couple of other things in that. It was mentioned that some animals, like a cat or a dog or a horse, have the soul of a lion or a bear.
Right.
And that is a very esoteric concept that I never heard anybody else talk to until I started bringing that information forward. So that's really amazing that person is seeing that. And that says to me that person has similar soul potentially purpose or abilities that I express to really work with the soul, like an org chart, the soul family of animals of different species, and to help animals reconcile their past lives. We have to be able to see their truth without judging it. So for somebody to be able to work with a horse, and I've had this happen to me where somebody said, my horse does not act like there's a huge behavior problem. I need you to help me. And I talk to the horse and the horse says, because I'm not a horse, I'm a zebra. And I've been a zebra 4 times and I only know how to be a zebra. Well, the lady thought I was nuts. Like she just thought I was crazy. And I happened to know a zebra trainer who lived close by. So I went and spent gave her $100. I spent my own money and paid $100 to the woman. And I said, I just want to talk to you for 30 minutes. So she's like, all right, I'll take your $100. And I said, so I have a client and the animal is acting like, XYZ. And she goes, yeah, that's how zebras act. And I said, but my client isn't a zebra. My client is a horse. And the lady goes, Ginny, you can't go around telling people their horse is a zebra. And I said, too late. I already did. And then shortly after that, interestingly, and I hope this just confirms for the person who wrote the comment, I went to a place with 3 horses and I was asked to speak with one horse. Well, I kept being drawn to the other horse. The other horse wanted to talk to me, wanted to talk to me, wanted to talk to me. And I kept seeing a vision of a lion, no less, of a lion. And I said, I'm so sorry. I know I'm only supposed to talk to this horse. It's owned by the same person. And I said, but this horse keeps telling me that it's a lion and it doesn't know how to be a horse. And the woman was just on her heels. She said, I can't tell you the number of people that tell me my horse acts like a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So again, did she really believe me? I don't know. But if she would have hired me to work with that soul, what I do then is I work with the soul family, the oversoul of the horse and the oversoul of the soul family of the soul that's in the animal. And I call forward their guides. And sometimes animals need new guides. Like they have guides that are sitting around twiddling their thumbs, just like humans. Everybody thinks all of our guides are just amazing. And I got to tell you, some of them are there not to help, but to create problems. So we keep learning lessons. So it really depends. We oftentimes really need to ask, are the guides that we are working with helpful to us? Are they beneficial? Are they helping us progress on our journey? And a lot of animals have dismissed their guides or they don't even know their guides because animals in domestication are taken away from their mother far too young. And the mother does not get to say, you're a bunny and this is how bunnies act. You're a dog and this is how dogs act. You're a horse and this is how horses act. And I'm going to teach you boundaries and I'm going to teach you the rules of interacting in a herd and, all of the etiquette. If the animals are taken away from their mother before a year or 13 months, all of the female animals tell me it's horribly detrimental to the young ones. And we know how many domesticated animals have severe anxiety, separation anxiety, PTS, you name it, right?
Wow, we're touching on a lot of stuff. I hope I can have you come back again. This is amazing and I'm so glad you asked that, Jesper, and you explained what you experienced because I had that myself with my cat Sheba. She was being handled as a teeny little kitten in our neighborhood, just passed around by all the neighborhood kids. And I mean, it was just, and my son called and said, Mom, can we take her? Can we take her? And I went down, long story short, when we did bring her home, the owner said, could you please name her Midnight? Owner, by meaning they were feeding her for a little bit because my son was taking care of her and I'd really like her to be named Midnight. And she told me, no, I want to be named Sheba. She's a queen. She is a queen.
Right.
But she will not let anyone really hold her the way she was because of that I feel from all the manhandling. So stunning stream.
A lot of animals do not like to be touched.
No.
A lot of animals don't want us in their energy field messing with them. A lot of animals don't want anything to do with our energy. It's boy, we could talk for hours. We really could.
And I know it, and I'm enjoying it. And I just wanted to say, guys, if anything resonated tonight for you, whatever platform you're on, I hope that you will connect with Ginny. Her information is underneath heartofthehorse.us. And also, please know we have many beautiful energy practitioners such as Ginny that come on this show. And I hope that whatever platform you're on, you'll hit subscribe, hit like, hit notification bells so you'll know when we're back on again. Do you by chance know a Lynn McKenzie, animal communicator? she'll be on next week, and I'm excited about that too. I just love animals so much, and I just, I'm just excited to have you on here because I just feel they need a voice. People need to understand, just the same way you said. It's just,
Right.
they have rights, they have feelings, they're a conscious, and so do plants. Anything, you know. So I'm just very appreciative that you're here tonight explaining these things. And then Jesper just said they enjoy pure energy as do we. Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind my saying,
Hmm.
just as we can heal ourselves, so can animals.
Yes.
And my goal is to help animals become self-aware, just as
Hmm.
I enjoy helping people become self-aware.
Hmm.
And I have had many animals ask me to heal them, and I say no. I can help you heal yourself.
Yeah.
I can help you remember. And the animals are just as, some of the animals are just as disempowered as we all are.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, a large contingent of the healing community contributes to that disempowerment. Pay
Hmm.
me $125 and I'll heal you.
Hmm.
And what we need is people to pay $125 and walk away more educated, more self aware, with
Hmm.
tools that will help us on our journey. That's what is truly beneficial.
Right. And I completely agree. I really do. I just wanted to say, guys, we greatly appreciate you joining in. And if you just popped in, please know you can catch the replay on whatever platform you're on. And let me just check in here real quick in Clubhouse. Clubhouse, does anybody have any questions for Ginny? Just checking real quick. Sometimes it takes a while for the to unmute the mic. Not seeing anything, but I did just see. Yes, Jesper said, wow, of course, that is the fact. Yes. Yeah. And this is the thing about with our channel. I know we have a lot of, oh, Michelle said, let me just see.
While you're reading that, I just want to say that's why I don't do drive-by readings for animals. I don't offer 15 or 30-minute readings because you can't tell an animal, you're a divine infinite being of light. You should know how to heal yourself.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And if we just come in and, what's your favorite ball and what leash do you want? And are you okay with this or that? And then you leave and they never get to say what's on their mind. They never get to tell you what's wrong. And I can't tell you the number of people I have that didn't even realize there was something wrong with their animal. And they go to the vet and they find out there is something really wrong. And
Yes.
never known if we didn't allow the animal to communicate freely.
Right.
So,
Yes, this is exactly why I love communicating with animal communicators, bringing you guys on the show because they're insistent if they feel something. Yeah. And so I did that with one of my friends that's on the show in the audience right now. I mean, they were letting me know what the animal was feeling at the time. But yeah. And I also want to say, people with perception that they're in their whatever level that they're at, and there are no greater or higher, better, levels. Please know one of the missions that I had for starting this was because I wanted people to understand I'm on my own journey. It's a divine I am journey. Everyone is, and we're all going in and working outward, and within working outward, and what we're working on within ourselves is affecting everyone on the outside. And I've learned very much on a crash course since I've started 2 years ago. But I've been told to bring people in the way I do. I'm more on an entertainment type of, people come in, they want a reading, but not, it's out of pure love and light, the people that I work with, for energy healing, just to be able to connect with their animal or their loved one that they lost. And so please know, whatever level you're on, that's why we're here. And then it goes on further. And it, like you said, it's so that they can learn to empower themselves, not just us as human beings, but all conscious beings. Yeah.
And Lisa, I apologize.
Mhm.
I talked over the last comment that you had put up. If you want to bring that up again in case it's a question.
Oh, yes, yeah. Michelle, I'm so glad Michelle joined us. She said, "My horse is a medicine horse who wants me to change modalities to use energy and communication instead." That's awesome, Michelle.
Yeah, and that's what I do.
Mhm.
I assess horses for equine assisted learning facilities. And unfortunately, there are no standards of care for horses or dogs in some of these programs. And some of them are there and shouldn't be. But if you are able to work with an animal who truly wants to share wisdom and teach and empower humans, that's the gold right there. That's the gold. My perception of what is going on in equine therapy, you know how a couple of people commented how good it felt to breathe in and focus on the heart and send
Yes.
gratitude and
Mhm.
ground?
Mhm.
That's what the horses are doing when we walk into their energy field. So the horses, not all of them, and people again have this expectation of every animal as this amazing mystical, spiritual guide, and that's not necessarily true. But most horses have a somewhat coherent heart rhythm, and they have an energy field that is 10 times larger than ours. So when we walk into their energy field without having to breathe and ground and focus, or as someone who maybe isn't aware of that, when we walk into their field, our heart rhythm comes into balance with their heart rhythm. It's called having a coherent heart rhythm, right? And so our heart rate variability, the variability of our heart rate matches theirs. And in
Beautiful.
that moment, when we begin to feel more peaceful, we can get messages from our own guides. We can get messages from our own higher self. And a lot of people don't realize that's what's actually helping. They think that the animals are healing the people.
Right.
The people are put into a coherent heart rhythm and energetic state of awareness where they can begin to use their own discernment, get their own information, and begin to heal themselves. That's what's really happening. So,
Mhm.
true medicine horses that seek to help humans become more self aware, I support that 100%. Other types, I would have to look at it on a one by one basis, really, and just really determine what's going on there. And if people are asking too much of the animals, because many times I've been confronted with animals who are burning out, becoming sick, colicking and passing away because they don't want to be in some of these programs. So that's
Yeah.
the truth.
Um, I know we're close. Actually, I know we went a little bit over, but I do have a question, if I may. There was one that just popped up, and okay, Michelle just said that's what he wants to do. Be us to work together. He has a large power heart, which triggers my own Kundalini. He said we
Mhm.
heal each other. Oh,
So that's called the X gene for equines. If they have the X letter X gene, that is a true medicine horse, a horse that has a larger heart. So that energy radiates even stronger. The electromagnetic energy and field is even more powerful than a horse that does not have the X gene, and it is a mutation. They call it the X gene mutation. That horse truly is a medicine horse in indigenous lore, and being in the presence of that energy is like doing a Kundalini yoga class or a very aggressive breathing technique to help us ignite our own inner light and communicate, allowing our soul, our higher self, to communicate with every cell of our body, every meridian, every chakra. It is very, very beneficial. But it's important to know that the animals need rest. They shouldn't work too much, too many hours a day, too many days a week, and try to manage their own self-care and self-regulation. I have definitely met horses who have been told by humans that it is their job to heal people. And so they take on the human emotion and the trauma. And this is not healthy for the human or the animal. So.
Oh, I'm so glad you popped on, Michelle. Thank you. That kind of helped answer mine too. So thank you so much. So I would absolutely, I have to talk to you after the show, but would love to have you back on again because I can see so many people have popped on and we all just love all the information, that information dump overload that you just gave us so we can process some more. Oh, Jesper just said, I listened to a cockatoo today and observed the extremely fast speed of their heart. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Oh, go ahead.
I just have, because of what that person just said, and I apologize, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, so I didn't say he or she. I approached a horse when I was in California a few weeks ago, and the horse came up to me and said, "Can you feel my heartbeat?" And then she said, "When you can feel your heart like this, you will be one with the universe."
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle, yeah, Michelle said she'd love to chat with you. You can reach Ginny at heartofthehorse.us, guys. So please feel free to reach out to her. And yeah, I guess we're over, and I appreciate you went 10 minutes over time because I enjoyed your company, and I know we all did so much. Thank you so much, Ginny. I'm going to exit out. I have a bad
Bye-bye.
a habit of doing this. I don't usually add myself in when we say goodbye, but I just want to say thank you so very much. It was just a wonderful, wonderful session, and everyone saying yes, yes. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope we'll see you back again. Please connect with Ginny if anything resonated today. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We have more energy practitioners coming on this week and next week. We try to do every week, but I know I have to take a break sometimes too. So thank you, Ginny, so much.
Thank you.
Everyone have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. So much love. Bye-bye, guys.